Rotarian President Indiranagar, President Rahman ji, Secretary Rotary Bangalore Indiranagar, Sridhar Pise, Rotarian and Supriya Kandari, past presidents of Indiranagar Rotary Club present here, other members of the managing committee of Rotary Indiranagar, Bangalore, Rotarian hands and Rotarians present this evening. Very good evening to you all. It's a wonderful thing for me to be present here once again in this hall. I have addressed the Rotarians in Indiranagar earlier also. And possibly I spoke the same thing which I'm going to speak today also. The reason is I speak the same thing. Because a retired judge is hardly heard by anybody. But there was a tremendous change in my life after I became the Lokayukta Karnataka. I saw so much of sufferings of the people in the course of my official duty as Lokayukta, which taught me a lot of lessons and changed my entire outlook towards the society in which we are today. The examples I give are the examples which I saw, felt during my tenure as Karnataka Lokayukta. These are not hearsay things. They are not made up for this evening's function, for that matter, any other function. The records of which are there in Karnataka Lokayukta, if anybody wants to check on that. My dear Rotarians and Rotarian hands, until I came to the institution of Karnataka Lokayukta, I very often felt I was a frog in the well. The realities of life was not known to me. When I was a lawyer, I presented to the court the case that was given to me to argue. When I was a judge, I heard the two lawyers present their arguments and delivered a judgment which I thought was correct. I never really knew what exactly was happening because the rest of the time in my life, I was a happy-go-lucky chap, minding my own business. Karnataka Lokayukta, when I joined, had two jurisdictions. One was what was called the grievance redressal, which was sufferings of the people due to administration. And it had the power to investigate and, if found necessary, to give directions to solve the problems of the persons who came to Lokayukta. Second was fighting corruption through the Lokayukta police. That's because under the Prevention of Corruption Act, there is a section which says any investigation under that act shall be conducted only by a police officer, not below the rank of a deputy superintendent of police. Karnataka Lokayukta had its own police officers. The greatest advantage Karnataka Lokayukta had was all the officers who were serving in the Lokayukta, at least during my time, were officers who were not wanted by the government in their department. So they were pushed off to Lokayukta, thinking let them lie there and be what they are. They happened to be a big boon to the Lokayukta. And I think if there was something which the Bangaloreans appreciated about the Lokayukta, it was the good work the Lokayukta officers did, and I got a lot of credit of it. When I saw so much of sufferings of the people, I started wondering, why is this is happening from an institution created under the Constitution of India to serve the people called the executive? As you all know, the Constitution has created three pillars: The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And the executive are the people who are qualified, trained to be administrators of a state or a country. From such people, why is it happening that people suffer because of administration? Then I realized it is not the fault of individuals. It is the fault of the society in which we live. When I was young, if a person committed something wrong, he was admonished by the society. If a person went to jail, my parents and other parents used to tell their children, don't go near that house. Stay away from that, even though the child from that house was a classmate and a friend of ours. That was the attitude of the society which condemned certain things which were not done in the larger interest of the society. My dear Rotarians, what has happened to that society today? You would have read in the papers, people go to jail, take a bail and come out, and there are thousands of people waiting at the railway station, the airport, to receive them with garlands. Is this the society which our elders depended upon? There was a time when my parents used to say, I was born prior to independence. There were photographs of the leaders of those days, mid-40s, early 40s, maybe earlier than that also. And our parents used to say, go, do namaskar to that thing. You all should be like that. Whose photo shall I put today and tell my child to go and do namaskar and say, become like them? This is what I realized. This is the society in which we are, which encourages people to salute people who have committed crimes in this country. Statistics show, I got it in my phone, I can show it if you want, what is reported in the newspaper, more than 32% of the members of the parliament have criminal records. You find people who have been in jail for 5 months, 6 months, get a bail and come out, and you see what's happening. Recently, I saw a photograph of a former member of the legislature of Karnataka from Hubli Dharwad who was an accused, or is an accused still, in a murder case. He was granted bail. And the TV showed hundreds and hundreds of people garlanding, putting their hand on to shake hands with him. This is not a society which can teach us what is right, what is wrong. My parents taught me what to do, what not to do, and if I did something wrong, I was corporally punished. When I went to school, there was a subject called moral science, Nitipat, which reiterated what my parents told me. You don't find any such subject today in your educational curriculum. Yes, it teaches you fantastic amount of knowledge to succeed in your profession, become a top grade scientist, become a great accountant and whatnot and whatnot. Yes, but does it teach you how to deal with that? How do you face the society? No. That's what I saw from close quarters. That's what made me really think that I should contribute something towards the change of this society. I know this society can't be changed by people of my age, because we have changed this society from what it was then to what it is today. All the values which our forefathers constructed or had in this society have changed. According to me, the only source which can change this society is youth of this country. And I'm told that's one of the subjects Rotary Indiranagar is propagating now, to change the youth towards something better. In this process, I have been to more than 1,600 educational institutions in the last about 11 years, telling the youth the realities of life, telling them what exactly is happening. Change this society, build a society which rests on values which our elders created. If you can't re-inculcate all the values that they had created, just at least inculcate two values to start with. One is contentment in life. That is triptych, what we call in vernacular. You have no contentment in life, you get a disease called greed, which has no treatment. However much you make, it's not enough. You want more, more, and more. When will you stop and where will you stop? And how will you earn all that in a straightforward manner? Let me give you an example of growth of greed in this country. In the decade of 1950s, there was a scam called Jeep scam. Country lost 52 lakhs of rupees in importing Jeep vehicles from Great Britain for our soldiers. In that transaction, country lost 52 lakhs of rupees. This was the first scam which came out into the public domain after we became independent in 1947. Thereafter, there were many scams were reported. All scams are not reported. Maybe out of 10, 1 or 2 is reported. The Mundra scam of LIC, Dalmia scam of Central Bank, Nagarwala scam of another bank. It went on Bharat Bank. It went on. Let's come to the decade of 80 because I don't have the time to spare. Give all examples. The Bofors in 1980, the purchase of Bofors gun for the Indian soldiers. Country lost 64 crores of rupees from 52 lakhs to 64 crores. Come to 90s, there was a scam called Commonwealth Games. Country lost 70,000 crores of rupees, swindled by few people from the treasuries of the government for their self-benefit. 70,000 crores. Come to 2011, 2010. There were 2 scams which came, one after the other. The Colgate, that is the coal scam. Country lost 1,76,000 crores. A year later, there was a 2G scam called, country lost 1,86,000 crores. These are not my figures, these are the figures given to the public by CAG, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now, so much money is siphoned off from development of this country. How can there be development? Let us try and understand what is the growth of development. Country has developed. I won't say no. But it would have developed double the development what we have had if there was no scam of this nature. 1985, then the Prime Minister of India, late Rajiv Gandhi, made a public statement in which he said, 1985, out of 1 rupee government gave for development, 15 paise is the only amount that reached the project. 1985, out of 1 rupee, 15 paise, we are in 2021. Greed has not come down. The zeros in the figures have not come down. Today, out of 100 rupees, will 15 rupees reach the project? I'm not exaggerating in my things. This is the realities of what is happening. You have seen any amount of roads being repaired. 75% of Bangalore is opened up in the concept of a smart city concept. How many of you read yesterday? Commercial street where crores of rupees were spent for so many days and now it's already done. This is being redone. Why? I'll give you an example of Lokayukta police, with the permission of the court, intercepted a conversation between an MLA of a particular constituency with a contractor. I hope some of you will understand. I'll repeat it in Kannada because this is the language which has some importance in that. The MLA says, "Enri, ittichige mane hatra bande ilvalla." Illa sir, barlikagilla, avran beti madde, ivran beti madde. Oh, good manusharadra. Sari, bardidre ante, kodudan kalisbodittalla. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ ಕೊಡು ಸರ್ ಇದ್ದದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರು ಇವ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾಮಗಾರಿಗೆ ಏನೋ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಉಳಿದದ್ದು ಹೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್ ನನ್ಗೇನು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಓಹೋ ಆ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೋಡ್ತೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ ಬಿಲ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. I'm not a politician. I gave a mining report in which I've named 3 chief ministers, one from Congress, one from JDS, one from BJP. I'm not a politician. I don't differentiate between political personalities when it comes to corruption. And the chief minister then was a BJP chief minister who went to jail, come back and he's become a chief minister, he resigned. Now that's a different issue. This is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you 3 examples of my experience. In 2009, a lady over 80, 85 years came to me and said, sir, I have no income. One son is working in Mumbai. He sends me 250 rupees by money order. Postman wants 10% of that. We don't pay 10%. He puts an endorsement, visited the house 3 times, address is not found. And the money is supposed to go back, but doesn't go to the man who sent it. No, postman did not come within the jurisdiction of the Karnataka Lokayukta. So I contacted a person concerned with it. That officer, very big officer, an all India service officer. He must have calculated 250 rupees, 10%, 25 rupees. He tells me, sir, 25 rupees, sir. My officers are busy. We are investigating crores of scams. Rather, scams worth crores of rupees. I have no officers. Why don't you do it, sir? You have a police force of your own. The arrogance of uniform. What is 25 rupees? Nothing. But for that lady, well, we had a police force, we had wonderful police officers. They went and spoke to the postman in their language. It stopped. Just look at this. Here's a postman who serves that locality for decades. He doesn't get transferred every month or every year. He knew that lady. He knew her position. What was his outlook towards life, the society? This is one value, contentment, my dear Rotarians. You have no contentment, you are a burden on the society. That doesn't mean that you get something which you aspired for at one stage, you become a sannyasi. This is what I tell the students. No, you must have an ambition to grow, ambition to become somebody big, ambition even to be rich. Nothing wrong. Make crores of rupees. Nothing wrong. Legitimate. Don't take it from the pocket of somebody else. Don't take it from the plate of somebody else. You make what you want. If you have some feeling for others, share it with somebody. Nothing wrong. The other value, which along with contentment that everybody must have, is humanism. Manaviyate. We are not born human beings. There is no species called human beings. I'm a science student. There is a species called Homo sapiens in science. There is no species called humans. Humanism is something our elders created years before the science in our studies came into existence, so that you can live in peace and solidarity in the society. Humanism is something which you have to inculcate. You're not born with it. Like contentment in life, humanism is something you got to inculcate. If you don't have humanism in you, you're not a human being. You don't deserve to be called a human being. Let me give you an example of lack of humanism. In 2010, a senior Air Force officer from Hyderabad called me. I did not know him. He must have read my name in the papers. I was notorious then as I am now today. He said, Mr. Hegde, 3 days back, my older brother's 18-year-old daughter is killed in a road accident in Bangalore. 3 days back. Her body is in a government hospital in Bangalore. We have kept an ambulance outside that hospital to bring the body to Hyderabad because we can't come to Hyderabad. Post-mortem is not done. Police say without post-mortem, we will not give you the body. Try and understand our sorrow. We have lost a young member of the family. I don't know why its post-mortem is not done. So I said, give me a couple of hours, I'll get back to you. When I went to the hospital, met the superintendent. He said, sir, it's not possible. It must have been done. Let me find out why. So he called the doctor. Look at his dialogue as he enters the superintendent's room. Yendri avasara. ಶವ ಕೊಳ್ತೋಗಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ರೀಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಜೀವಂತಿರುವಂತ ರೋಗಿಗಳ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮೊದಲು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕೆ, ಸತ್ತ ಹೆಣದ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮೊದಲು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. Then I said, who asked you to treat a living patient? You have been deputed to post-mortem ward. Sir, one relative of a patient came and told me his relative is not getting proper treatment, so he requested me to come and treat him, so I went and treated him. So I interrupted and I said, doctor, did you know that patient or patient's relative any time earlier? No. First time he came straight and did. I said, now I understood. That main building has 40, 50 doctors, trained doctors, apart from you in this side. He didn't go to any other doctor to seek the better treatment. He comes 100 meters away from the main building in a post-mortem ward to find a post-mortem doctor to treat his relative. I said, I understood. I know what to do. Now I'll sit here until the post-mortem is done and the body is put in the ambulance. And it was done. The body was sent. But I don't understand this, ladies and gentlemen. If it was his own doctor, why do we do it? I have such experiences of things that have happened. I've seen situations in which patients, lady patients, delivering children outside the hospital in footpath because hospital staff didn't allow them to come inside without paying the money. These are realities of life. All of us don't get to see these things. I've seen it from close quarters. I got 15 examples, but then 20 minutes I have, so I don't have the time to do. But what is the consequences of this greed and lack of humanism in our system? In 1947, in anticipation of a democracy in this country, our elders created a body called the Constituent Assembly. It functioned from 47 to 50 and produced a wonderful document called the Constitution of India. The first thing that came up for discussion there was what type of a political system that this government should adopt when it became independent. Internationally, there were many political systems were there. There was monarchy, there was a dictatorship, there was ism-based politics, socialism, communism, such like things in all. Capitalism. In between them was a system called democracy. The meaning of that word was government of the people, by the people, for the people. And our elders pleaded, we Indians were never, ever independent. We were under the rules of Rajas, Maharajas, Zamindars, dictators, and whatnot. Now that we're going to become independent, we have an opportunity of giving this administration to the people of this country. Let's adopt democracy, Prajaprabhutva, as the political system of this country. And all the members accepted it. So we accepted democracy. Having accepted democracy, they divided the administrative powers into 3 pillars. The legislature to make laws, the executive to implement the laws, the judiciary to settle disputes. Now, the first question that arose before the Constituent Assembly was, should a member who is going to represent a constituency in the legislature should have an educational qualification or not? Many elders said, if a man wants to make a law and he's going to be a member of the legislature, he must have education to understand what the law is. And the editor of the Constituent Assembly debates writes, practically everybody was showing, yes, yes, yes. Then some member right from the back stood up and said, Speaker, sir, today, sir, in this country, that is 1947-48, population of this country is 40 crores. 80% of the 40 crores don't have any educational qualifications, sir. And you said democracy means government of the people, by the people, for the people. And 80% of them are kept out from the public representation. What sort of a democracy is this? And they eulogized the system that was prevailing at that point of time. They said they were not educated, but they settled disputes. They laid down the parameters of administration without education because they are born with certain intelligence which is molded by their family and the society. They know what to do. So they didn't, even today they don't have an educational qualification. Whereas when it came to the administration, the second pillar of the constitution called the executive, they said you must high educational qualification. Then they are selected. I mean, those days they were selected on merits. They were sent to training colleges to Missouri or Simla or whatever the thing, and they trained in administration and they were brought and trained. Then there was the third pillar of the constitution, the judiciary. I'll come to that also. Today, what has happened? Those people who represent us in the parliament or the state legislature, who has got 90% of them have got educational minimum qualification at least. What's happening? Recently, there was a report out of 107 hours of parliamentary work, and only 17 hours were worked. We saw photographs in the television, members of Rajya Sabha standing on the table, tearing away the people, throwing away papers and throwing at each other. Our leaders, with their reputation of 30% of them having criminal records. I don't want to elaborate on what criminal records that they have. But I want to tell you, in Karnataka, 3 members of the legislature about few years back were watching indecent pictures in the legislature when the proceedings were going on. This is the fallout of today's lack of values. My dear Rotarians, it's my appeal to all parents. First, be a change yourself. Inculcate the values. My parents told me, oh, my siblings, brothers and sisters, be happy with what you have. There's no greater happiness than that. My father, as a Supreme Court judge, retired Supreme Court judge, thereafter he contested election, became a Lok Sabha speaker and retired from politics. When he died in a small village called Nitte, he had a 2-bedroom house. His salary was 4,000, Supreme Court judge. And he never gave us anything. There was nothing to be left behind. And we never cribbed. When I became a judge, it was 50,000. When it was offered to me, I was not interested. There was a Solicitor General of India at that point of time. My earning was much more than that. I told the Chief Justice, give me 1 week's time to respond to your thing. I didn't want it. My mother, who was a widow, not an educated person, she came to know. She said, are you Santosh? Are you going to take it up or not? In my language. I said, Amma, who wants it? 50,000. What? Your father was getting 4,000. He looked after 6 children. And you are getting 50,000. You don't even have a child. What sort of a life is this? And she gave us bath. She changed our clothes. She gave her food. She sent us to school. And everything she did. Coming from her mouth. She was a widow at that point of time. She said, your father would have been extremely happy if you were to accept it. I accepted. 50,000 was my salary and 25,000 was my pension. Yeah, of course, it's much more because Salary has increased, the thing, but rupee value has gone down. But what is it? Let me say it right out to you. Whatever money I got today, I'm saying it because the president also pointed out to you what your club has done in charity and other things. And apart from other things, I have given money to Nimans. Yeah, I've given money to Cardiology Institute, Jaideva Institute of Cardiology. I've given to Tata Memorial Cancer Hospital. I've given to the Indian Army 1 crore rupees when my bank account didn't have 1 lakh. I'm saying it boldly. I know the Bible says, let not the right hand, left hand know what the right hand gave. But I'm saying it because I want you to understand I'm not a fraud. I have made enough money. One chief minister whom, when I named him in my mining report, he said, oh, he's an honest man, is it? His nightlife should be audited. I said, my nightlife, you start from the day to the nightlife, sir. I got only 1 car, only 1 flat, only 1 wife in 51 years, I said. If there was anything wrong with me, because I keep repeating this time and again, I repeat it, they would have pulled me to the street, stripped me naked and paraded me. It is 11 years since I retired from the last post. I've been talking against every one of these elected people whom I know what they are. Another chief minister also said, his name was mentioned. He said, we all know what he is. I said, you don't know, sir. My wife is still alive, I said. Because his wife died in a slum. Well, my dear Rotarians, I haven't got much time. I got otherwise enough to speak about, to tell you such examples which would churn your heart, bring tears into your eyes. But then I know you have other programs in this thing. So my appeal to you is, you inculcate these 2 values, contentment in life, humanism. Convey to your children, when you are a model, they'll follow you straight out. I followed it because my parents did. I was telling the issue which I discussed with others also. My father also told me, we siblings should not live together, never stay in the same house, never do business together. One of my brothers is a very rich man. He's got a university, medical college, engineering college. I have nothing to do with it. My relationship with him is very good. Recently, when COVID came, I ran away to Mangalore. And he has a house near in a beach where only myself and my wife stayed. He's got, that's my relationship with him. We have nothing otherwise. We don't, but we are happy with what we have. You inculcate this into your children. Show it to them. You are honest, you are happy. Let them show it to their children. So that in life, there'll be so much of peace, solidarity. That too, in a situation in which we are, where politics has become so professionally greedy. One last sentence. Please think of future of this country. This is not a country which is controlled by one religion, one language. These are the most dangerous things. And this country can be divided into 25 other countries based on linguism and religion. Let us live in peace and solidarity. We have lived all these years. And it requires some element of, I wouldn't say sacrifice, some element of self-control. We can do it. Thank you very much for listening to me, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure. Thank you.